The image is a pure creation of spirit. It cannot be born of any composition, but only of bringing together two or more less distinct realities. The more the interconnections between the juxtaposed realities are both distant and correct, the stronger the image will be, and the greater its emotional power and poetic reality. My name is Jewell Huffland. I am a visual artist getting my BFA from Florida State University, and I deal with a lot of different mediums. I work a lot with organic materials. I do lots of graphite drawings, paintings, and I deal with a lot of different contexts and themes. So this is where I collect the specimens, and really you get to see just how beautiful they all are. I like this purple color with these. It's so beautiful.
So pretty.
Like, a lot of making art is just looking and seeing things in the world and admiring their beauty, appreciating, what it is. And art is my favorite thing to appreciate, along with nature. Actually, they're probably equal in my eyes. They're kind of the same thing. The God tree. Well, when you look at it, it just has this sense of power, this overwhelming size and beauty, and how it just dominates the space completely. Little bits of nature are already art. It's just a matter of bringing them together, recognizing their beauty, but then also adding my own artistic hand so that it's not just, this. It's my own version of it. So, yeah. See all those little holes? This is gorgeous. It's like hollow.
That's so cool.
This is an example of something that I would probably put into a smaller piece, because this deserves to be like the centerpiece of something, so everything else should be smaller than this. And then I would probably do a drawing of this instead of a painting, because I really like the tonal values as opposed to the color. The thing is, there's not any decision making. It's actually just a path. But I love that it's a circle. That's something that you guys are gonna notice a lot, is my obsession with circles. It's kind of like, if there's a circle around me, I will notice it. It's a very visual thing. As a visual artist, I feel like connected with my eyes. I'm sort of always observing. I try to look at things as if it is a work of art, just constantly. And one of the things that I've really picked up on is how many circles there are in nature, but also in all of the man-made things that we create and put around ourselves. For example, when I'm just going for a walk and, I'm not really sure if I'm going the right way, or, I'm having some really difficult, thoughts that I'm trying to sort through. So I'm just sort of like wandering aimlessly. Every once in a while I'll notice a circle from afar, and I'll be like, oh, okay. And so I'll just go to it. And then right when I get to it, boom, there's another one. So you just follow onto that one. Ooh. Little shroomy boy. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, the little white flowers. Right when you walk in, we have this picture, which was the first time I ever tried to use metallic paint. So you can sort of see it there. Yeah, this one was like very inspired by Klimt. I'm just gonna hang it up upside down because it really doesn't make a difference which way it goes, you know? So there's that one. Frida Kahlo is a huge inspiration to me. I was able to see her work at the Salvador Dali Museum at the same time with Dali's work. So like Frida, Dali, I'm like, oh my God. It was a super emotional experience. Like I just was sobbing looking at some of her work because, you know, she was able to turn her pain into like this amazing artwork with expression and like realness and just herself, because, you know, she had so much pain. So anyways, I really, really love her work. Huge inspiration there. Here we have some of my books. There's Francis Bacon, Leonardo da Vinci, Klimt, some stuff with surrealists. Obviously, this one is really cool because it just has to do with like the body and science and stuff. It's kind of like a textbook, but I really love science. It was my first like true love, I would say. Even before artwork, I was always just really enamored by like scientific processes, especially like neurologically, how our brains work and how we're basically just computers made out of meat. So anyways, that is probably reminiscent of my work. Yeah, there's that. We have little bits of paper, little things that I've collected over the years, including some old Polaroids and cutouts from some art books that I really love. Yeah, so these were just collected from birch trees in Vermont. That was so much fun to just like go to a tree and like take off some of its bark. This piece is made almost entirely out of synthetic materials, so like cardboard, paper, fake plants, fabric, cutouts from magazines, homemade cork board. There's lots of threads, beadwork, pins, and all of that, but it's made to sort of replicate the forest floor. So it's kind of a commentary on how, you know, when humans, you know, pollute the earth with the things that they make, like with litter and all of that, it actually just sort of becomes a part of nature. And we can't deny that we are part of nature. So it's kind of like, kind of turning that a little bit on its head and turning the litter into the forest floor, into artwork. It's kind of like similar to some of the stuff I have here. Here's another earth face. This is the second one in the series that I haven't started the drawing for yet. Here are a couple of drawings that I did. This one's a charcoal reduction. This one's just graphite. It looks like it definitely is rooted in nature, but it's also super alien. It's kind of just like an amalgamation of a bunch of different textures combined into a singular organic form that is supposed to be representative of nature itself. I have some of my rocks that I have collected over the years. Quite a few of them are being used in assemblages right now, but I'll deconstruct those and put them all back in here so I can reuse them. I have some pretty sweet little pieces like these are from the creeks of North Carolina, so they're super smooth from running water going over them. And some bigger rocks from Vermont that have some pretty amazing patterns on them. So this is Floridian bark from pine trees. And then this is Vermont bark from pine trees. And you can see just how different nature becomes depending on the environment. Like in Vermont, so much wind, super cold. It gets negative however many degrees versus in Florida, if it snows, it's like a miracle. Circle, 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 circles, circles, so many. Okay, so this is the book that I made. I bought a bunch of old photographs on Etsy, and I decided I wanted to make sort of like a photo album, but just like using a bunch of different source material. Here is a little artist book from one of my favorite artists, Alex Torres. These are actually from Brazil. This man, I imagine he has some identity crisis of sorts. And yeah, my friend Allison, she actually, this is note that she sent me, and she sent me a bunch of these prints where she's modeling. So it's like a little piece of her. So this one, Irene Lewis Sterling, age 3 months. I'm saying it's probably like 1890. This is the same street in the summer and in the winter time. So I'm assuming that it's like this community garden. So it's kind of this amazing duality that I find in a lot of things like the cold and the heat. And it's like sort of just a constant theme that runs throughout my artwork. And here I actually included some pressed leaves, just again with the tactile nature of it. And then lack of plants, lack of life, and then boom, this is their garden. This really, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So, this is my room. So nice. Let me get the lights on for you. This is one of my assemblage pieces, but this is actually the first one I ever did. Again, so this is like taking organic stuff mixed with, in this case, man-made items, which I've sort of gone away from using things like fabric and beads and, you know, this cork board and all that, and I'm going pretty strictly with just organic materials now. But this one, you know, I'm actually in the midst of drawing this one now. So you can see here is the graphite drawing. I'm planning on making a whole series of these and displaying them next to each other so you can sort of see, because I feel like with the graphite drawing, you know, you can't really tell what anything is because it's all just monochrome and it all just sort of meshes together, which is the whole point. But then to have that there where you can actually look at the little bits and pieces that I took my inspiration from, you know, it's kind of like a dual portrait, and I call it the Earth Face series. It's a portrait of the face of the Earth. So this is a self-portrait that I did, and it's actually, I was trying to replicate Gustav Klimt's style of portraiture, where he just does a lot of really thin, transparent layers of oil paint to sort of like build the face with a lot of vertical brushstrokes. So in this case, I'm really not trying to hide the fact that it's a painting. Love and fear are what make up the world and what make up us. And our approach to everything is an expression of one or the other. But, you know, it's also always both. There's a lot of like fear that comes with love, finding love. I'm not even talking about my artwork anymore. But it's like these ideas that I bring into my artwork are actually super relevant to every aspect of my life. My boyfriend, Emmanuel, I consider him to be like the sun. And myself, I feel like I resonate a lot with the moon. And so that is something that we have always talked about, is duality in terms of that, how we are sort of each other, but we're also individuals. So this one's actually unfinished. I don't know if you guys want to include that one. This one is really unfinished, but this is just the underpainting that I have so far, but it's going to be based off of that famous painting of Ophelia from Hamlet, where she has drowned herself when she finds out that the love of her life has killed her father. And so it's kind of about duality too, because it's going to be this woman who's dead, but she's surrounded by all of this life in I'm using the Floridian Springs as reference because I love going to the springs. It's so beautiful. There's just so much life. Like everything is just breathing with life. And then to have like this dead woman just sort of laying in that, it's kind of like death within life, life within death, duality. It is the idea that you have good and bad as two separate things, but also there is good inside the bad and there is bad inside the good. You know, the yin within the yang. And then together they create their own whole. It's like duality is one of the most basic underlying laws of the universe and how things work, how things come into existence. I call this Homo sapien yin and yang. So it's about our physical bodies, our physical existence. Yeah, so it actually is 2 paintings because it has this little light painting that you only get to see when the light is shining on it. So this is sort of like our metaphysical identity, our subconscious, our soul, you know, and that comes with all of our memories, all of our baggage, you know, our perceptions, and that intermixed with our physical body, you know, like we're really just meat. This is actually about some trauma that I'm dealing with and my disconnect from my own body. So here you can see the body sort of looks infected. There's kind of like this wound. I was going through this period where I really just didn't feel like I was even here in this body. So it was like I was sort of floating out somewhere else. And as a result, I developed 3 different skin conditions consecutively. And it was like my body was telling me, like, you're here, pay attention to me, like, you have no choice. That's why I call it Homo sapien yin and yang, because it's all about that balance, baby, duality. If you want to see some more circles, okay, let's see. We got
4 up there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ready? Are you ready for this? These are actually wood burning drawings that I do with a wood burner, directly onto little bits of wood.
You do it.
1, 2. Here's one. Circle. Circle, circle. In here, I would say this is la pièce de résistance. This one's sort of my masterpiece, I think, as of yet. It's sort of like the stepping into my own art world. This is like the first piece that I feel like I was really able to communicate my own voice and do something that I don't think anybody but me can do, which is sort of like the whole goal as a visual artist. So this is actually a visualization of the subconscious. So all of these little bits out around here, I would kind of just get into a really meditative mindset and then go in and watch my pencil sort of make these organic forms sort of like come into existence. And it just sort of manifested itself, and that's why I consider it to be a portrait of my subconscious, because it really just has a lot to do with pattern, organic form. There's also some little bits of geometric form. Yeah, and then that surrounds the face, which, I don't know, when you're drawing a portrait, there's a lot of decision making that goes into that. You know, you have to think about, you know, recreating a person's image. You know, you have to make sure the eyes are the right size, everything's laid out right, all the shading is good, so it's like tons of conscious thought goes into that. So then it's sort of like the dichotomy between the two and how the subconscious surrounds our pinpoint consciousness that sort of like views the world through a circular hole. When people look at my work, I want it to trigger something in them, in their subconscious mind. Maybe something that they don't really understand or can't fully grasp, but just sort of an emotional reaction or an insight that they might not have realized before. Something about themselves, something about the world. I want my art to mean something to more than just myself. I think that was just how it's supposed to be. We're done.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
The camera was like, okay, now it's time.